Okay, so we have finished so far to talk about instrumentation and data collection. So this is what we have completed. And later I will talk to you one by one to figure out is there anything else we need to come up with. And the last part is tool for data analysis. So when we talk about tool for data analysis, all of this, there are uh, three different process actually you need to think of. One is the way you are going to code. So let me use another form to. So when we say a tool for data analysis, in our research methodology, there are basically you have to describe research design, and later to describe the data itself, the nature of the data and the location of the data. Where is the data? And the second one is about instrument. So each of you has different formats of your research instrument. Some of you use both questionnaire and the interview protocol, like Brenna. And some use only interview protocol, so Casit and Jiayun the same. And the others are using survey questionnaires. So the content analysis is a little bit complicated, of course, right? But I believe that Ziyi has received my dissertation. And Ziyi，你有没有看过了？有哈。I hope that is helpful. I'm not quite so sure if you can catch the central idea of my paper. But anyway, let's talk about. We move on to the next part. Is about the way we are going to analyze our data. So we want to present our plan about the analysis of the data. Then what it is, basically, when we say ways of data analysis, you have to describe three different parts. One is the way of your editing. How are you going to edit your data? And the other one is coding, the way of your coding, and the other one is the ways of analysis. Okay, let's focus on the first one. We have the raw data first. So we come out with raw data. So it depends on the different formats of your data collection. If you are interview, then the process of editing should be done most likely done on site right after you finish your interview, and at the same day when you come home, when you go home, and you should review the contents and try to verify all the contents are there. So basically, the purpose of editing is to make sure that all the data you have collected uh, are readable, are there, have been clarified for the context. There's no misunderstanding. So maybe you will find out, for example, if you throughout the interview, if you ask the interviewee about her idea about a certain issue, for example, about the migrant workers, how they think about that. Maybe in the very beginning of her interview, she said that I love them very much, and by the end of somewhere in the middle of the interview, and she said, I did have a lot of complaints about that. So complaints and love, it seems to be somewhat contradictory in its very meaning, right? So you need to clarify. So when you conduct the interview, it will be better for you to verify the information on the spot. That will be a little bit better. But how about a survey? Survey refers to because there is no way for you to check on site, because most of the time you will dispatch the questionnaire through online or through your networking of your friends, right? Friends networking. So collect them back, you have to double check whether those answers are legitimate for you to read. So you have to make sure that the raw data are ready for getting into the process of coding. Okay, so the meaning for editing is very simple. That is clear. Create the raw data for coding. That's it. So there are many different ways of create the raw data. If you are using content analysis, it will be you have to make sure the source of the data, all the primary ingredients, components are there. For example, if you believe that you need to identify the publication of the article, the date of the article, then you have collected one piece of article, right? You have to make sure the date is there. And if there's no date, and then you have to go back to the website to double check what is the publication date for this one. And if you need for example, the author of this article, but it seems that there's no author over there, then you may want to go back to the original site and to trace back. Maybe it's not on the web page, but is on somewhere else or very bottom. There must be something there. If there's really nothing there, you take a note. So it's kind of cleaning the house. It's just you have to clear the raw data for coding. So basically, this is the process for what we call data prep. So basically, these two processes are what we call data preparation. The preparation one is to clear the data, and the other one is so you remember every the cleaning process a little bit different, but the primary goal for you to do is to make sure that every piece of the data is standardized. So you have to make sure how is the process you make those data to become a standardized form, standard form that you can go for coding. Some it will be especially for qualitative research. If you collect data, you go to interview, there may be a lot of different forms of data available for you. And the data you have collected on your table, maybe a little bit, a piece of notes or some recording or something like that, right? So you have to make sure that everything is there and put them into your own computer. Okay, especially I'm not so sure if you have the so-called qualitative software. So Casey and Brenna, have you ever learned or known anything about this one qualitative analysis software? Jiayun呢?
I've heard about, but I don't know anything about.
You have no idea about this. And how about Brenna? Learn anything about this in the class?
Never learned it before.
Okay, 那嘉允没有在。
没有。
Okay. In this case, you may want to go to some website to check out the software by yourself and also try to learn by yourself a bit. They are easy to use. For example, I can give you some. Okay, so this is one Max QDA. You can go to check it out. So Max QDA, we can go to English website. So this is the website. This is the program you can use. The price for the student version is quite affordable, I believe. 2 years of the license, $99 something USD. I'm not so sure. Let me see the price for this one. This is Max QDA shop. So you are students, so you can look for the students version. Ooh, it's so this is the price here. 6 months, 24 months. 6 months is for $44. 37 euro. Something. And 20. This is 2 years license. Okay, and believe it or not, this one is very powerful. You can use it. And I believe that they offer free download the trial version over there. You can use. So you have to learn them by a little bit, okay? And there are some other QDA analysis software out there, and NVivo is one. This one is I believe that should be more expensive. This one. Try for free. Yeah, 30 days of free version for this one. And there's another one, QDA Lite. QDA Miner Lite, this one. Good news is that this one is free. Okay, use this one. This one is free, and for your data analysis, if you are not using sound recording and only text, this one is good enough. Okay, so so far we have several alternatives for you. QDA Miner Lite, this one. Don't use QDA Miner. QDA Miner needs you to pay money. But QDA Miner Lite is free. Okay, so count on yourself to see how much money you have and how much academic career you want to pursue. If you want to do this just for your GP, then this one is good enough. Okay, QDA Miner Lite is very basic, very simple, but useful. And this one, if I would like to suggest, if you want to have a longer version for you to explore, then Max QDA is definitely something you should look for. This one. Okay, this one is superb. Basically, let's imagine this. When we do data editing and coding, previously we use manual task. We use our 2 hands and a lot of folders and a lot of closet. Folders and a closet and a lot of papers. So we just put them and set them into different things, different folders. But nowadays we don't do this. We all transform those hard copy into digital files and put them into this program, this kind of program. So for your good, you have to learn this by yourself a bit. Okay, and of course, school has some version for NVivo, but NVivo is very expensive, and they have a special student discount. Well, no, this is not. This is still Max QDA. So anyway, just go there and check out. So QDA Miner Lite can be something that you could look for. You must have something up there. Okay, let's come back here. So as I say, the software you can have Max QDA or QDA Miner Lite or NVivo. They are all very capable of helping out. So remember, you definitely need to learn this by yourself. You can go online, go to YouTube, and there are a lot of tutorials for you to watch. So don't worry, it's the learning curve for this one is very straightforward. It takes about 1 day, and you will know everything. Okay, so this is one thing. So we need to create the raw data for coding, and when we create the raw data in the modern sense, we have to transform all those papers into the digital files. So you put the digital file, and put those digital files into this program. So actually, you are going to use this kind of software, qualitative analysis software, to do the coding. Okay. So then the next one you have to describe. So far, do you have any question? Okay, so the next one is that you have to describe. You have to describe the way of your way of your coding. So for quantitative research, it's not that difficult. And in the quantitative analysis course I offered to this first semester, we have learned how to code. So you need to have a code book, and you have to code all the data into your SPSS. So that's a very straightforward. I don't think that should be a problem. But for qualitative research, the coding is about to create a lot of things. So now I need to know how much you know about coding. So Brenna, do you know anything about coding, or have you ever learned about this?
I just know that after we just collect the data, and then we're gonna start to sort our data, find out the difference and the similarities of my data, and then put into the group.
Oh yes, grouping the things. That is the idea. So you basically we will notice the thing of the data, and try to put a code to represent a piece of data, and we will move on to put another thing to another piece of the data. Sometimes those data, some of the data may have the same thing, so we just use the same code on them. Okay, Cassie, do you know? Tell me something about your knowledge about coding.
Pretty much the same as Brenna, not too much.
Okay, that's a very diplomatic answer. So come on, describe in your own way. Now,
That I don't know much.
OK，佳云呢？
不知道，
佳云为什么每次都只看到你的上半头？
因为我用电脑，然后撑在这，我没有放在桌子上。
好吧，所以你变，好奇怪，这么可爱的小朋友，每次脑袋都陷一半。看我的陷一半什么样？
好啊。
真的，I don't like this 这是一种礼貌。你要参加会议，哪有秀一半的头的道理？都要想到这些问题。这不是老是 picky， 而是告诉你一些做人做事的道理。以后你要处理事情的时候呢 ，come meeting， 就算你的那个 camera 有问题，你要尝试把它 make become usable and doable， 这是一个基本的态度了。这样了解吗？Okay, so you have no idea about coding at all， 是这样子吗 ，Brenna？
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyway, okay. For this, let me give you a very brief idea about coding. Coding is that supposedly we have a huge collection of data, and we will, of course, we will look at the one piece of data and try to identify the theme. And we move on to another piece of the data and to try to identify the theme. So you can count on this and on. So some of the data may have the similar thing. For example, for the next piece of the data, we found out that it carries the same thing. So you would use the same code to represent the same code to represent these two pieces of the data. And on and on, we will go through all the different pieces of the data and to identify the things for every piece of the data. So imagine this. So let's imagine after we finish all the data coding, then we found out that the things that can for us to identify the story of the data sometimes is actually just like this. So there are several pieces out there, pieces of the code over there. So when we say we are doing data analysis, remember in qualitative data analysis, we do not directly go to the raw data for data analysis. Instead, we identify, we will look at the thing which we have identified. We have put the codes from the previous efforts. So basically, these are the things, the codes. So when we say data analysis, we do not directly use the raw data for data analysis. No, we use codes. And each code will represent several pieces of the data. Is that right? So you can think about it this way. When we say we want to know the meaning of this code, so I use computer program to check this out. When I check this out, then under the code, there are relevant data out there. So if I want to provide answers to the meaning of the code, and then I will continue to read the data. Okay, so basically, coding for qualitative research is very straightforward. It's a thematization process. We put the things for each piece of the data. Okay, and codes. There are two different kinds of codes. When we say two different kinds of codes, one is a priori, which means they are there before. For example, if you are just your case maybe in this way. For example, you asked your interviewee each of the interview 10 questions, right? 10 questions. So basically, you have the 10 different codes for the 10 sets of the answers for the 10 questions. Is that right? Okay. But the other one, this is one form, and the other one is emerging code. Emerging code means that you have no idea because, for example, under the 10 different questions, the respondents, the interviewees may have many different kinds of comments, reflection, and statements, right? You have no idea about the things of the respondents. So in one of the questions, although this one is priori, but under it, there may be a lot of different codes will emerge, which you have no idea before you start your data analysis. So you have to describe, once this happens, how are you going to create the codes? So the idea here is very simple. By the end of your coding exercise, there must be a lot of codes out there. Okay, there must be a sufficient codes for there, and each piece of codes represent their respective documents or context or passage. So basically, your mission for data analysis, if you want to know this, you do not directly go to here. Instead, you use the codes as the index to check out the relevant documents here. Okay, so get it? So this is the way it is when we say the coding process in our qualitative data analysis. But for quantitative data analysis is straightforward. You are going to use your codebook, and you will transform the answers of those questionnaires into number and put key those number into the SPSS. and run the program. That's it. It's not really a very scientific process. It's just the way it is. So basically, this is about data preparation. Why do we need to have the data preparation? Why? Of course, we want to analyze the data, right? And today, and not only today, starting from the very beginning of the scientific exploration, the knowledge people did not just directly go to the raw data and for data analysis. So let me give you one very simple example case here. So let's imagine we are now walking inside the Department of International Affairs, the office, right? So once you enter the door and you see your left side is two closets out there. And inside the closet, there are so many different folders out there. And inside each of the folders, there are so many papers have organized and put up there, right? So let's think about this way. So now let's imagine this. Let's take away all the papers, take those papers, documents, and put it on the floor of the Department of International Affairs. And I stand with you guys, and we make a circle and desperately looking at the pile of documents. And they are all messed up. They are not organized. They are messed up. Just like the way you have collected your data, right? They are just like that, lying down on the floor like a pile of papers, and people just standing around of the pile of the paper, feeling desperately. And you look at the data, and if let's say Mark asks us, hey, you guys, now I want you to identify who is Philip Furry. What is about him, right? So now the problem comes. These piles of data must have included some data related to Professor Furry, of course, right? So ideally, if we want to know anything about Furry's credentials, we need to have all the papers from this pile of papers. But it seems it would be very difficult because the document is hidden underneath somewhere, nowhere, just a stick in the head, and you have no idea about where it is, right? So maybe you have some luck. Just use your hand and pull out one piece of paper. Wow, great, Furry. And then you will write everything on this and report to Mark. Say, hey, this is my analysis about Furry. Here comes the one issue. That is, you accidentally pick up one piece of paper because there's no way for you to have a systematic way to have all the data relevant to Furry, right? So you can count this only by your own luck. So you take this piece of paper and your analysis is based on this paper. Let's think about it this way. Is your analysis comprehensive? Of course not. Of course not, right? Because you have only one lucky paper in front of yourself. Okay, now let's change another scenario. So let's fast forward. Let's fast back, move back to the original status, and we put all the documents to its original folders. Okay, now Mark walk out from his office and say, hey, let's check out the credentials about Furry. Okay, so what would you do? The most reasonable process for you to do is go to the closet and check out the folder. There's a name table, say Furry, right? So you will just pull out the folder related to Furry, and you review all the documents, and then you will have a more comprehensive story about Furry. Okay, so let's think about this way. Who put those documents into the folders? Who? The person who prepared the data. So this is why we say it's very important to edit and code, because we need to prepare the data. And now we move forward to another questions. I want you to check out YMC. What is he about? Where did he earn his doctoral degree, and so on and so on, right? So you know, oh, that would be simple. You just move on to identify the folder for YMC. And then you take it out and read it, and then you will have a comprehensive understanding about YMC. So this is the purpose for editing and coding. Data preparation is the fundamental step for you to conduct effective data analysis. Okay, and this is very important. I hope that you can try to learn. You have to study some other literature for you to increase the knowledge. It's pretty important. Okay, any questions so far? Now I'm going to move to the third part, ways of data analysis. So when we talk about ways of data analysis, what do we talk about? Well, let's think about it this way. When we start our research, we have the research purpose, right? And under the research purpose, we have some research questions or research hypotheses. Is that right? For example, we have three. We have three research questions. So basically, when we talk about ways of data analysis, is about, tell me, how are you going to answer your research question or research hypothesis, number one, number two, and number three. What is your process? What is the method you are going to use? So when we say ways of data analysis is, now you have prepared your data after you try very hard to edit and code. And now tell me, what is the way for you to answer your three research questions or three research hypotheses? Okay, so basically, you have to describe the way for you to provide your answers. And remember, actually, when you answer these research questions, you are using the data you have collected. Is that right? So this is the data you have collected from your effort. So basically, chapter 4, when you do your data analysis, chapter 4, when you really do your data analysis, is an open test, open essay questions. It's an open essay question. That is, you provide answers to your research question 1, 2, and 3 by using the data lying in front of you. That's it. Okay, so basically, chapter 4 is an open essay exercise, because these questions have been asked by yourself, have been asked by you to yourself. Is that right? So, and you try very hard to collect data, and you say, I have prepared the data by editing and by coding, and now I'm ready to answer my questions. So question 1, I will go through the data to see what is the answer. So basically, in chapter 4, there will be no literature review. It's just about data analysis. Everything is about data analysis. You answer your own questions. You answer your own questions by using your own data. Okay, get it? Okay, so you have to describe this different process. So basically, you have to describe the way of your editing. Second one, the way of your coding, and the way of your data analysis. So basically, this is the third part of the data analysis. The first one is the data and the whereabouts of the data. Second one is the research instrument and the process of data collection. And the third one is about the ways of data analysis, including editing, coding, and analysis. Okay, so far, any question? If not, let's see. Okay, so this was the process of our private consultation. So later I will start with Brenna. Later Casey and Ziyi, Yuting, Jiayun, Sanxi, and Lixing. And don't forget we have a class meeting at 12. Okay, and see you then. So Brenna, stay.
Okay, see you later.
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me, sir. First, I have a phone call now, so can I?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.